Hello Scrolls fans and welcome to Scrollscast. My name is Smogan. As always, you can catch more episodes of previous Scrollscasts on the Badger Guild YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment so that we know that you love us. Today we have a high-rated game between LukiGamer and Dialex. It's going to be a Decay versus Decay matchup. We'll see how similar their decks are, as these players are likely trying to vie for the top 10 position in front of the ladder reset that's coming soon. And remember that the top 10 positions get a special avatar head, so I'm sure both players are very motivated to get this important win. Both players have no first turn play. LukiGamer, having the first turn advantage, gets a Loyal Darkling into the middle of the field. Turn passes over to Dialex. He's sacrificed 2 Watchers already, so if he needs them later he won't have access to them, but didn't have the choice with them coming early, and lays down a second turn Tribesman, slightly stronger turn 2 play than LukiGamer's. Ilmire Rot Eater will change that math though. He comes down behind the Darkling. Turn over to Dialex, who does not have a creature on turn 3, but does have a Soul Steal he can take advantage of, giving him a Mire Shambler to work with, and note that the Loyal Darkling did 2 idle damage. And of course it also buffed this Ilmire Rot Eater, which is now strong enough to take out the Tribesman. Up to 4 resources for LukiGamer. He drops a Cursemonger in front to defend his Rot Eater to make sure nothing can take it down. Dialex finds a Ripper, but he decides on a Languid to start, and that pulls a Harvester from the top of his deck, weakening his opponent's Rot Eater. Note that he did not play his Ripper out. He's deciding to save it in hand, potentially to sacrifice later so he doesn't empty his hand quite as quickly. LukiGamer sacrifices for Scrolls and has an Infectious Blight ready to take out the Mire Shambler, and it will of course transfer straight to the Ilmire Tribesman. Puts Dialex in a sort of an awkward situation where he really can't afford to wait 2 turns for this Tribesman to die of natural causes without playing out a creature. So instead he's going to have to play out his Oblivion Seeker and accept that the Infectious Blight will transfer. Cursemonger for LukiGamer is ready to attack. Note he has 2 5-cost creatures in hand, sacrifices 1 to play the Oblivion Seeker, choosing that over the Lifestealer, and then instead of attacking his opponent's Oblivion Seeker, curses the Ilmire Tribesman, which kills it with the Infectious Blight, transfers the Blight to the Oblivion Seeker. Dialex sacrifices for Scrolls, plays a Brainlice of his own, that'll take down that Cursemonger. Still not playing that Ripper, choosing to save it in hand. Now, LukiGamer can deal some damage with this Rot Eater, but will probably elect to deal idle damage instead. He could kill this Oblivion Seeker, but he would lose his Blight, and then his opponent would, of course, draw some Scrolls. Another Oblivion Seeker comes down, so both players playing lots of these guys, so lots of cards are going to be drawn here pretty soon. Dialex continues to draw low-cost creatures. Has a Necrogeddon in hand, so if he can play them out, he can turn them into some advantage later on. Does go up to 6 resources and plays out both a Lifestealer and a Ripper, so he can Necrogeddon next turn if he decides that it benefits him. Cursemonger explodes from poison damage, so Dialex draws a scroll off that. LukiGamer sacrifices his own Necrogeddon and has a nice combination of scrolls in hand, has Brainlice or Rot Eater to play with a Tribesman, so he can use all 5 of his resources perfectly here. The attacking Oblivion Seeker will not want to deal damage to Dialex's Oblivion Seeker because I'm assuming LukiGamer wants that Infectious Blight to remain in play. So we'll see him likely move to the middle row. Where would he position his Rot Eaters? He could play... Well, he decides not to play the Rot Eater, instead Brainlicing his opponent's Ripper. Still has the resources for a Tribesman. Moves his units to the middle. Tribesman comes down as well, everything touching the Rot Eater, so it's inclined to grow no matter what Dialex does. Will he go up and try to Necrogeddon? He could take out the Rot Eater with that Necrogeddon and draw some Scrolls, so that isn't a bad play. So here's the Necrogeddon, draws Scrolls off the Oblivion Seeker. LukiGamer will draw 3 Scrolls off of that due to the Brainlice and the Oblivion Seeker of his own dying. But most of his army has been destroyed. Big hand now thanks to that play. Could go up to 6 and double Soul Steal. And we see Soul Steal number 1, deciding on the second one versus Rot Eater. Goes ahead and Soul Steals to turn his opponent's army into his own army. And of course the Oblivion Seeker takes out the final husk, Dialex down to an empty board after the Necrogeddon. Still has a lot in hand though. How will he turn this into board advantage? Blightbearer very strong for that, of course. Could play that anywhere he wants and feel relatively safe with it. Sacrifices his Tribesman for Scrolls, can afford a Blightbearer and Cursemonger, Probably nothing to Damon Curse right now. Cursemonger comes down, Blightbearer comes down. Not a bad turn for him. LukiGamer has a third Oblivion Seeker in hand. Has more card draw later on. Infectious Blight, not great against these scrolls he's going against, but not bad either, I suppose. Could Rot Eater Brain Lice, but would need some help with some combat damage to get a kill off of those. Here's the Rot Eater, well positioned, and there's a Brain Lice on that Cursemonger, so that will slowly tick it down. With all these attacking units, it's likely that LukiGamer will be able to get in and kill this Cursemonger. We'll see how well Dialex is able to defend it. He does have Brain Lice and Soul Steal, so that could take out 2 of these units. There's the Soul Steal. Rot Eater will grow up to 4 and 4. Will he cast the Brain Lice, or would he rather play a Rot Eater? He could Damon Curse, but if he was going to do that, he would have done that before Soul Stealing, so that he doesn't lose his Mire Shambler he just created. Pitches the Rot Eater for Scrolls. Has a Harvester. Unfortunately, he already has played a Soul Steal, so he won't be able to get that free countdown that would have gone with the Harvester. Brain Lice on his opponent's Mire Shambler. Both Shamblers will therefore die. Both of his opponent's Shamblers, his will be okay. Rot Eater will be up to 5/5, but it looks like he can position things so his Cursemonger will get an attack, but note that he did have to, because of the placement of that Mire Shambler, that RNG, and the Blightbearer being in front, he could not afford to keep them stacked, because the death of the Blightbearer would lead to the death of the Mire Shambler. LukiGamer thinking about how he can break through these lines. Soul Steal, Infectious Blight. He could... doesn't have any curse effects. Chooses to Infectious Blight the Cursemonger, so it is set currently to die with how things are stacked now, so that's going to be 3 poison effects, 1 from the Blightbearer and 2 from his opponent's spells, and enough to take out the Cursemonger and move the Infectious Blight to the Mire Shambler. Dialex still behind on board, and that attacking Rot Eater, making things difficult. Nice play, though, with the Damon Curse. Not only does it kill the Rot Eater, but it takes out his own unit that had the Infectious Blight on it, ending that threat for now. And then a Blightbearer set to hold down the ground. And LukiGamer, the downside of his great poison play here is his own units are poisoned, so they will, at least the Oblivion Seeker, will eventually die. The Tribesman will only need a nudge from Dialex to die as well. Lucky goes up finally to 7 resources. Unlikely to see a Necrogeddon on this turn, however. Could see Lifestealer come down as just a large creature, and that's what we see. Didn't have something to fill in the extra resources with. Dialex could do Double Harvester, he could do Rot Eater Harvester, he could go up to 8 resources and do Lifestealer Harvester. A number of choices. We see him go up to 8. There's the Lifestealer and then likely a Harvester behind, anticipating that things will be dying soon, and I believe that he is correct. Lucky has a Harvester of his own now. I believe that's the first one he's drawn, so he should have 2 more left in his deck of only 17 scrolls. Bloodline Taint is interesting. Pitched his Necrogeddon only to find another one, so he maintains that option. I don't think he can break through this Lifestealer with what he has. With 8 resources, he could do Bloodline Taint and Infectious Blight to kill it, but can't quite afford that, so he just chooses to move his units away, setting up in the middle and towards the bottom. And note his clever positioning of these 2 units, the Lifestealer and the Tribesman. With their 1 countdown, they make it so Dialex cannot really move his units up to threaten the middle without fear of these units getting in and doing some serious damage. So nice positioning by LukiGamer. Dialex does go ahead and move down 1, though, so he might have a plan in place here. Perhaps Damon Curse on this Lifestealer would be the play. That would make all of his units safe up here. He could then choose between Harvester and Cursemonger, or even Harvester first if he values the countdown over the extra health on the Harvester from the Damon Curse damage. Pitched his Cursemonger, Lifestealer and Tribesman in hand. We see the Lifestealer come down. That means no Damon Curse will be happening, and that basically sentences his own Lifestealer to death. Perhaps he sees that as being okay, a worthy sacrifice. But note that LukiGamer has 2 Witch Doctors, perhaps the single most powerful Decay scroll in a color or in a resource full of powerful scrolls. LukiGamer has the first 2 of the game. Neither player's drawn one up until now, which is really unusual for this late in the game. So Lucky could drop that Witch Doctor, surround it with his units, and really make it difficult for his opponent to get through. It would take that Damning Curse to kill off the Witch Doctor. He will have to be careful, though, with the Harvesters both on 4 countdown. He could easily accidentally trigger his opponent, trigger the countdown and bring the Harvesters in for massive relentless damage. Infectious Blight will start to prevent that. It won't kill this Harvester for 4 more turns, at least without the help of this Cursemonger. Languid on the Lifestealer down here to the south, and then moves up to take out his opponent's stronger Lifestealer. Ripper comes down as well to play a little bit of defense. Strong board position by Lucky. Dialex has a strong position as well, but will probably need his Harvesters to get a strong attack off in order to make this comeback complete. Witch Doctor of his own now could play that and a Languid. We see the Languid first, making the Loyal Darkling rather weak. Witch Doctor could go maybe behind this Lifestealer. No great position for it because the Blightbearer is not something you want standing in front of your units when possible. Currently has it positioned with nothing guarding it, so he's risking the Cursemonger dealing 3 damage to it. Perhaps that would be worth it due to the Cursemonger not being able to then therefore curse the Harvester. But LukiGamer has a lot of options right now. With a Bloodline Taint, he could kill off the Witch Doctor. With a Damning Curse, he could kill off the Witch Doctor. He can't double Damning Curse, but he could Rot Eater down with a Damning Curse as well. Sacrifices for scrolls. Lots of middle of the pack units, some weaker ones, some really strong ones. Curse goes ahead and Lucky goes ahead and lays down the Curse on the Harvester. It will perish. Damning Curse on the other Harvester, so the Harvester threat has been neutralized. Now can play a 3-drop creature. Has to think carefully about his positioning, though. Note both Harvesters are on 1 countdown. If Dialex has any removal spell at all, he can... Actually, no, I forgot. This Harvester will die, so that is not a threat. So anything that... Well, Lucky could sacrifice his own Loyal Darkling and go ahead and count down his Harvester, which would take out the Witch Doctor. That would be a very strong play. Let's see. He does not see that as an option, so he allows his opponent to keep his Harvester... Or, I'm sorry, his Witch Doctor for 1 turn. That would have been a very strong play, especially if the Rot Eater was positioned so it benefited from the Loyal Darkling's death. Draining Mist for Dialex. This scroll has seen quite a bit of play since Anti-Rad debuted it in a tournament setting a few months ago. It is very strong in the Decay versus Decay matchup because Decay doesn't do well with countdown reduction. Lucky's Harvester is ready to attack. Dialex needs to figure out a way to kill it. I don't see an option in his hand to do so, though. I don't even see anything clever like killing his own Blightbearer with a curse or anything like that. Draining Mist might be the only option. That would count it up to 2, and then maybe he would position his units so as not to kill too many of his opponent's units. Soulsteel isn't going to be enough. Moves his Lifestealer up to guard the Witch Doctor that now, note, has that transferring Infectious Blight on it. But then actually moves the Witch Doctor down, so it looks like he's okay with losing the Witch Doctor. Perhaps really motivated to get rid of the Infectious Blight. Soulsteel comes down on the Ripper. Note that he did that before playing the Draining Mist, so that the countdown of the Harvester was kept low, but then actually the attacking units ended up counting down the Harvester anyway, so that wasn't relevant. LukiGamer's Rot Eater is up to 5/5 already. The big story is, of course, this Harvester. Will he send it through the Witch Doctor and kill it and the Mire Shambler? I would have liked to see Dialex split these units a little better so the Shambler wasn't on the same row as the Witch Doctor. Lucky has a lot of options in hand as well. Two units will die this turn, so he may take advantage of that by playing out his second Harvester. He could then back that up with both the Blightbearer and the Tribesman, and that's what we see. Tribesman comes down, Blightbearer comes down. Very strong army built up by LukiGamer. Dialex still searching for a way to pull his way back into this game. He's been close a few times but couldn't quite get his Harvesters to attack, and now needs to figure out how to deal with this massive army. Draining Mist will help. Only works on the units with 1 or fewer countdowns, so now is not the time probably to play it. Witch Doctor, though, strong option, so that is going to give him some value off this life stealer that's currently set to just die to this Rot Eater. Brain Lice for LukiGamer, he could go up to 9 resources, but instead chooses to sacrifice for scrolls. Could go Witch Doctor, Loyal Darkling, and continue to build up his really strong board presence. Instead goes ahead and damning curses his opponent's Witch Doctor. That will let him kill the life stealer without concern for spawning a husk. And will well, these harvesters are counting down very quickly. Let's see if he wants to where he wants to play out his Loyal Darkling. I would assume that that'll come out thinking about how to best defend his harvesters that are going to be the key to victory right now. Plays it down in front of the lower health one rather than the lower countdown one, and that also defends his Blight Bearer from death from Dialex's Blight Bearer. Draining Mist would get some value here, would count up 3 of Lucky's units. Pitches his Cursemonger for scrolls, sees his 3rd Watcher come into his hand. Oblivion Seeker played to guard his Blight Bearer, though the Blight Bearer will only get 1 more attack off, so he splits his units and moves them to the middle. Are we going to see Draining Mist? Nope, we see Brain Lice instead. So, interesting, he was okay killing a unit that triggers his opponent's Harvester that can take out both of these, but I guess Dialex would probably be fine with that. I imagine what we'll see instead is LukiGamer is just going to take out an idol with these units, rather than killing Dialex's middle units. I'm expecting to see Witch Doctor come down, but no, actually interesting, Lucky decides he is willing to lose his Harvester to poison damage and let his opponent draw some scrolls in order to take out both these units and the center idol. Note that his other units are dealing a lot of idol damage as well. Watcher comes down, so it's gonna be really tough for Dialex to keep his idols up with this indirect idol damage. Witch Doctor maybe will be positioned, and it comes down up to the top. He's built the Diamond of Death here in the middle, dealing a lot of idol damage, clearing Dialex's board again, takes out the center idol. Dialex needs some mass removal. I don't know that he's going to be able to find it. His opponent's Harvesters are likely to die to poison. Languid weakens the Witch Doctor. Needs to defend at least 3 of these idols, or at least 3 of these idols. Witch Doctor is going to help. He went up to 9 resources to play the Witch Doctor as well as the Ripper, defending his lowest current idol. Watcher damage did damage to the top idol, so that was good for Dialex, not as good for LukiGamer. 8 resources to play with. He could go up to 9 and play out a second Witch Doctor and a Blight Bearer, but Dialex sees the writing on the wall, goes ahead and concedes in the middle of his opponent's turn. Well done to LukiGamer, winning the Decay versus Decay mirror. He had the first turn advantage, played units first, and never let the pressure up, and goes ahead and wins the game. This has been Smogan with Scrollscast. Tune in to the Badger Guild YouTube channel for more, and thank you all for watching.